area for the first quarterfinal here from GP Barcelona. Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Barcelona. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're ready for the first quarterfinal match between Fabrizio Anteri on the right-hand side of your screen against Brian Braun-Duin on the left. Fabrizio does get to be on the play as he is the fourth seed versus the fifth, and that's a big deal as Fabrizio, for those of you that are watching the live coverage along with us, we got to see he's drafted a very aggressive red-white deck that really does want to be on the play. Two drop into two drops, so Gibbering Fiend followed up by Ember Eye Wolf for Anteri.
This one's a lot more red than the last deck we saw him. 11 mountains, 5 plains.
Yeah, and in fact, he was almost the polar opposite of that.
Yeah, he was 12-4 in the last draft.
Exactly, 16 land specials.
This one's 17.
On both
There's
of
a
them.
Stone Quarry in addition.
Okay.
It's the 17th land. It's still, low curve and a bunch of combat tricks. 3 copies of Rush of Adrenaline.
He loves that card.
And 2 Uncaged Fury.
Brian Braun-Duin, though, with the mythic uncommon, as we call it. We say that sort of tongue-in-cheek, but Duskwatch Recruiter really is a powerful card and doing very good work here throughout the course of the weekend. I think it's shot up on a lot of people's list, at least for the people that didn't know yet. Now they know how good this card actually is. And this Ember Eye Wolf's just going to rumble. Get in there for 5.
Yep.
And pass the turn back with Brian Braun-Duin down to 12. But this is a huge turn for BBD because now that he's got that his Recruiter transformed, every creature he casts is going to cost 1 mana less. And if he can play a land here, he could really empty out his hand potentially. For those of you paying attention to Brian's land situation, yes, that is a Westvale Abbey as well, so that could be something that could come into play down the line. In the meantime, he's going to play Abyssinian Missionaries, again, for only 3 mana. And yes, he does have a follow-up, so huge play for him here. Though it does actually transform his Recruiter back. So Moorland Drifter, and he just put up 5 power and 5 toughness on 1 turn there.
Kind of want your Duskwatch Recruiter to go back and forth, right?
It is not a bad thing.
Load up my hand with creatures, cast them at a discount.
It's great.
Oh, I want some more creatures now. Let's see if we can flip him back.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that card. I actually had one in my pre-release. Gave it a pretty high grade on the set review, played with it, and thought, yeah, this is playing out quite nicely. This is how I envisioned this card going, and haven't looked back since.
6 Grand Prix wins between these two players.
Wow.
Fabrizio's got it 4-2. 10th top 8 for Fabrizio, 5th for Brian.
Kind of insane. If Fabrizio wins this GP, he will have won half of the GPs that he's top 8'd, and we're not talking
He's
about
a closer.
2. We're talking about 10.
Yeah, 4 for 9 coming into this. See what he is out of 10 in a couple hours. The other storyline that's great to me is that Grand Prix Player of the Year race that was so much fun to watch last year for that world spot. Whoever finishes higher between Fabrizio and Reed is going to have the lead in that race.
Very nice. And where are we at? Give people an idea of where we're at as far as how long the season's been going on.
I mean, this is the 3rd Pro Tour. We're basically the 3/4 mark.
There you go.
Yeah, next weekend's Pro Tour is going to be sweet. This format seems really skill testing.
Oh, yes.
Like, you look at this top 8, you've got, 5 former Grand Prix champions in it. Some 60, 70 top 8s between them. I think a lot of that is the more skilled players are able to sort of navigate a path through some of the complicated board states that you can get yourself into. Even when you don't necessarily have the best deck. Like, we saw Huey winning with decks that he was turning his nose up at.
Here's a Bound by
Winning
Moonsilver.
anyway.
That's going to lock down the Abyssinian Missionaries, and Fabrizio is going to offer trade here with Gibbering Fiend rumbling into the red zone. I wouldn't be surprised to see Brian just block here. He probably doesn't expect this to work out as a straight-up trade, but he might. Gibbering Fiend can get annoying later in the game. If you look at Fabrizio's graveyard, he has nothing in there
No
right
combat
now.
trick?
Nope, he just offered up the trade, and BBD took it.
Does Fabrizio not have a trick? Although I guess rush of adrenaline doesn't even win that fight.
Would not get the job done now. Fabrizio also may be trying to manage the board. If he thinks that he can't get the job done, all of a sudden that Westvale Abbey actually does become a problem down the stretch.
Good point.
And getting a creature off the battlefield could be advantageous. In the meantime, Duskwatch Recruiter attacks into the wolf, and Fabrizio's now put to the test. He decides not to block.
Yeah, there's clearly a trick coming.
I just wonder if you wouldn't mind trading your
wolf for
a trick. What's the best case scenario for this wolf here?
Well, if Fabrizio's out of creatures and doesn't have anything to do with his mana, it's kind of nice to have the wolf to sink it into usefully, especially if he's got.
But it's just going to trade for something, right?
Depends.
Oh, hello.
Uncaged Fury can be pretty good on the wolf.
Okay, that's true.
He's got 2 of those in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, so he pumps it maybe twice, builds up his mana to 8 or something. It's just such a
7, and he's at
card.
6. I just apparently like the wolf more than you do.
Yes, that much has become
clear.
apparent, yes. Anyway, he's got the angel now, though, does Fabrizio. Nice 4/4 flyer with a relevant static ability as well. Kind of cool with the Bound by Moonsilver as well on the Abyssinian Missionaries. It prevents it from transforming.
Right.
So even if Brian finds an equipment, he won't be able to transform the missionaries. So the Flameblade Angel there, anytime a source would deal damage to Fabrizio, or one of his creatures, is going to deal 1 damage back to Brian. And there's a Watcher in the Web, which is going to do a reasonable job of holding back the Angel from at least the big beats.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Brian, he hasn't really found a window to start using his Duskwatch Recruiter. You know, if you get even a remotely parodied board state, you just pass with the trigger on the stack, start activating it just to try to get ahead while the getting's good. But Fabrizio's done a good job of keeping just enough pressure up. We're
closing in on Westvale Abbey, too.
Yes. And against red-white, Westvale Abbey's pretty darn good. There's a few things.
Angelic Purge.
Angelic Purge gets you. Declaration in Stone gets you. The bound can get moved over, but if you sacrifice it out from underneath, then it solves that problem.
Right.
Which would be the case here.
I just meant another one, but yeah.
Sure, yeah. There are answers. Oftentimes you'll get one hit in. If he can get Fabrizio down to 9, and whack him with Ormondal, you know, a lot of the sorcery speed answers don't matter at that point. I feel like that wolf's going to rumble this time, right?
Yes?
I mean, he would trade for either of the 2 creatures that can block here, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, both of them in. And Brian's going to go ahead and just block with both and say, yeah, well, we got nothing else. So Fabrizio can pump the Ember Eye Wolf to make the trade.
He needs, 1 pump for that?
Just 1.
And then any trick in his deck will beat up the spider?
Pretty cleanly, yep. But Brian doesn't really have much of a choice here.
Agreed.
Just take a ton of damage.
Yeah, Brian's not doing anything wrong. I don't expect this to work out well for Brian. That looks like 3 mana.
Oh my gosh. He's just totally comboing off on him here. So he's going to pump the wolf, and he's going to give it +2/+1 and trample. That's the key here. And then he's going to give it +1/+0 and double strike as well. So let's see how much this ends up being. This can't be lethal, right? He's taking.
Are you sure?
I'm saying it almost rhetorically here.
3, 4, and a pump is 6. Adrenaline is 7, 8. Isn't that 6? That is lethal. It's 14.
It's also 2 damage from the flame blade, so that does it. Unbelievable. So Fabrizio, he took such a long time to sort out the math on it that I thought maybe he gets him down to 1 or whatever. No, that was lethal. And that looks like standard from last season.
yeah, that was Teamer Battle Rage Become Immense.
Exactly.
I didn't know you could draft that deck in this format.
That's pretty funny.
And you didn't like it when he drafted Rush of Adrenaline.
I did not, but...
he did it 3 times, all 3 times. I think he wanted him to take a different card.
Assembled the combo.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, that was nuts.
That was insane. So
I like the wolf even better now.
Yeah, when it has trample, it looks way better. But yeah, so Fabrizio Anteri picks up his first game of his quarterfinal match here. You can see William Huey Jensen over there. Looks like they're in shuffle mode. Maybe we can get an update.
Yeah, haven't seen an update.
I haven't seen one yet either, but I did get a chance, by the way, to take a peek at William Huey Jensen's list. Now, I didn't get to see the full list, just more of the card pool, but it looked very solid. And he seemed pretty happy with it, too, which is kind of a scary thing. So we're on shuffle cam.
Huey over there in top 8, number 21. 5 wins so far. He can pull within 1 of the record on wins.
Which is 7?
7 is the most anybody has. There's 3 people who have 7. I think it's 3 people on 7, 3 people on 5.
Is it?
And then like 10 people on 4.
Yuya? Is Yuya one of them?
I believe so. I think it's Yuya, Shuhei, and...
I have no idea. Those are the two
I know who the other one is.
Who is it?
Kai. you remember the 7 Pro Tour wins. Oh, by the way, he also had 7 Grand Prix wins.
Obviously it's Kai. What am I thinking? When you're talking about wins on Sundays in Magic tournaments, you should just write his name in and then figure out the other people that get to join him. Or not in the case of Pro Tours.
Reed is down a game. You see the update up there. Victor Kazansky's took the first one. Huey won his first game.
Okay.
Just got that update in. So Jensen up 1-0, Duke down 1-0.
Yeah, you can see that Reed's playing a blue-green list, and I also got a chance to ask him what he thought about his deck. He said, pretty good. You know, he wasn't raving about it, but he said it's pretty good. He was happy with it, though. Yeah, he does find himself down a game to Victor, who looks like he's playing red-black. Here's Tormenting Voice now for Victor's. And a Rancid Rats. Lone Wolf of the Natternals over there for Reed Duke. Ooh, here's a Pack Guardian that he's going to flash in on the end step, and it's going to bring a friend. All right, well, we're going to have to step away from this one, though, because I want to make sure that we get all the action in our first match for Fabrizio Anteri versus Brian Braun-Duin, as it could be pretty quick. We saw the combo finish there from Fabrizio, and also just how fast it is. A little bit of glare on the card there, I think, for Brian, so he wanted to make sure he could read it. Judge just seems to be stepping in for something, though. We were away, so I'm not really sure exactly what.
Is it the end of the last game?
Unclear. Well, we'll see if they can just get this cleared up quickly. If they don't, we can also jump back over to that game we were watching with Reed Duke if it looks like it's going to take a while. Basically, if the judge pulls one of them away from the table,
Yeah.
we'll go over on the other.
Fair.
And if this is just a clarification that the judge wanted to make, then we'll jump back. Of course, we realize that you guys at home want to watch Magic being played. All right, looks like it's all sorted out, and we are back underway. So I believe that's a Devil Thorn Fox that just attacked there for Brian Braun-Duin, and he has a follow-up play as well of the Moreland Drifter. Wow, and this is kind of the dream here for Fabrizio. He only has the one discard outlet in his deck, that Ravenous Bloodseeker.
Combo.
And he had it, and he even had one of his 2 Incorrigible Youths as well. So very nice start here for Fabrizio, though he did have to end up trading off his Bloodseeker, it looks like. He is still left, though, with Incorrigible Youths here on the early turn of turn 3.
Yeah.
All right, now this gets
4 power
interesting.
attacking on turn 3. That is nice.
That is great, but the Devil Thorn Fox is a reasonable blocker here.
Fair.
And also, Fabrizio has to be concerned about the Abyssinian Missionaries, because it could easily be that Brian Braun-Duin's just saving the equipment for next turn, where he goes cast equip, getcha. Especially if it's a neglected heirloom, which is really nasty on an Abyssinian Missionaries. But the Fox is able to hold back the Incorrigible Youths, which also indicates that Fabrizio does not have one of his multiple combat tricks in hand.
True.
Okay. Not too bad. An Inquisitor's Ox. Doesn't have Delirium, but that's a lot of toughness. And a very good blocker against a deck like what Fabrizio's playing as he continues to develop his board with the Halpak Wolf. Uh-oh, here we go. Dustwatch Recruiter now, and he's only got the 1 green mana available, though, so he's actually not going to be able to activate it. You do see people play it sometimes, like maybe 1 turn off where they can play it and then activate it in the same turn to make sure that they get a shot at getting that card back. But unfortunately for BBD, a little bit of an awkward mana curve for him here, and he can't. But the good news for him is that he does get to untap here, and Fabrizio, while still developing his board, hasn't really put up anything amazing. Cathar's Companion, sure. Angelic Purge in hand for Brian Braun-Duin. And he's got a Vessel of Nascency as well as a Militant Inquisitor. So this is kind of interesting. A little flurry at the beginning, and then it's like, play a creature. Oh, yeah, I'll play a creature. I'll play a creature. And they kind of saber rattling it up here as they both build out what have become quite well-developed boards. It's like Gaia Reach Bandit for Fabrizio. Haste goes unused. BBD remembers, oh, right, that becomes the 4/3. Vilden Pack Alpha, that's the one that you can transform your werewolves when they enter the battlefield. All right, BBD, it's time to start leaning on that Duskwatch Recruiter here. The 1 green mana is really cramping his style.
Yep.
No, he's just going to play a 5-drop. All right, well, he has been able to stay just far enough ahead of Fabrizio to discourage him from making any attacks whatsoever, but I would be concerned if I was Brian about the Duskwatch Recruiter dying at some point. Obviously, Fabrizio doesn't have an answer for it now. Also interesting, with the trigger on the stack, he could have activated it there, and he must have a play that he'd rather make this turn. I don't think he does, though. That's interesting. He must just be intent on cracking that Vessel.
The Vessel, yeah. Delirium's relevant with the Ox down there, so.
That could be. Yeah, because the only thing he has is an Angelic Purge in his hand, and I don't think he's planning on casting that this turn. So I could certainly see the argument for activating his Dustwatch Recruiter there with the ability on the stack to try to get that value. That Vessel's not going anywhere. He can do that when he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what the deal here is that there's a little bit of a glare for the players. We've got the light set up so that it's pretty good for our camera, but I think on Brian's side, he's just catching the angle right where it's a little difficult for him to read him, which is why he's asked Fabrizio to move his cards up. Oh, there's a neglected heirloom.
Wow.
And he can get that with the vessel since it's an artifact. And this could get ugly very quickly. One to cast, one to equip. And he's going to go ahead and equip it up right away.
Were you saying that Brian was not particularly happy with his deck until the missionaries fell to him late?
Yeah, that's right. He actually got both the missionaries and the neglected heirloom in pack 3. For those of you that were watching live, we saw those go through actually Fabrizio's hands. He didn't really have a place to put them. He had no other equipment, but Brian felt like his deck got a big bump late in the draft from that, and you can see why. Now all of a sudden he has this massive 7/7 first strike.
And when the missionaries flips, it strangles a creature.
He's not going to attack with it, though? Interesting.
Apparently not.
I feel like he has an attack with it, don't you? He's at 15. He's got a ton of blockers. Anyway, he didn't attack. Fabrizio did play a Nearheath Chaplain before passing the turn back.
Yeah, I mean, if he loses it, then the Gaia Reach Brandy goes back into play. That's maybe why he's being careful.
It's a 7/7 first strike. Like, how is he losing it? I mean, if he does, I guess he gets to take out 2 or 3 creatures. Probably be happy with that. Well, it looks like he's going to equip it up to the Ox instead. I'm assuming he has Delirium, though it is hard to tell from here. He's got the Vessel. Yeah, he does have Delirium. So that's going to make the Inquisitor's Ox 6 power now. With the Ashmouth Blade attack to it.
So 6/9 first strike vigilance? That's all?
I think it's 6/8.
You're right. It's 6/8. My apologies.
How dare you oversell it?
It seems awfully hard to lose a combat.
Agree.
Yeah, so he's attacking. Fabrizio's in chump block mode.
Yeah, he's just going to chump block it with the Nearheath Chaplain to try to get those cards out of it later.
Just got word that Sean McLaren has won his first game. So McLaren, Anteri, Jensen, all up a game, along with Kazanskis.
So Fabrizio's turn was just getting his 2 spirits. But Brian Braun-Duin, I think he needs to start really hammering away here. He's taking a pretty conservative line. I mean, he may be a little shell-shocked from game 1 when he kind of lost out of nowhere. There you go. That's what we like to see. Get him in there, BBD. Fabrizio's creature's not great at blocking. Not terrible either. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 1-toughness creatures here. The Cathar's Companion is a little awkward for Brian Braun-Duin just because it can get indestructible until end of turn. And
only if Fabrizio has a combat trick.
Right. Which I view as a foregone conclusion.
You've seen him play.
He does only have 2 mountains up, so it limits which ones he can have. But,
true.
You know, for us staring at his deck list, we know he still has plenty at his disposal. So it looks like the Gibbering Fiend's going to jump in front of the Inquisitor's Ox. And he's going to take the rest. So that's 7 damage, knocking Fabrizio down to 10. But wait, there's more. Wow. Another Thornhide Wolves. A lot of beef on the table for Brian Braun-Duin. Fabrizio has to be setting up for some type of big finish here if he feels like he's going to win this game. Otherwise, he's just going to see his board get dwindled down over and over again. And eventually we'll lose the game. Uh-oh, math is being done. Brian's going to be nervous about that.
We have our first result.
First semifinalist?
First semifinalist.
Who's through?
William Jensen.
Oh, baby.
2-0.
I'm telling you, his deck was good and he liked it, so.
Huey looking for Grand Prix win number 6 in his Hall of Fame career.
Get out of his way. We could just book that now. Just call it a broadcast.
I think there's a couple players at these tables who
might have a little argument with that. All right, we'll let him have a shot at Huey.
And Fabrizio does close half his top 8s. Huey's merely 5 for 20 coming in.
Okay, fair enough. We'll let this play out to its natural conclusion, I suppose.
Oh, Brian. 4 wins for Huey. I'm sorry. I thought he had 5. He's going for win number 5, just like Fabrizio. Who had 5 wins that was up here?
How many does Reed have? 3 wins? 4 wins? Maybe he's got 5, actually. Because he's got one with PGO, right?
Yeah, those guys won the last time they were in this building.
There you go.
Well, they didn't win. They top 4'd. Sorry.
They top 4'd,
But
okay.
yeah, last time we were in this building all together.
But they have won
PGO
one.
was top 8ing
and he also won
Barcelona.
Nashville. He won one down in Florida. He won one in...
Reed has 4 wins.
Yeah, and in Oakland. So that's
Reed,
4.
Huey, and Fabrizio each have 4 wins.
Yeah, that's a lot of trophies in this top 8. Okay, Angelic Purge. And Brian's just going to do this preventatively. He doesn't want something scary or crazy to happen. He's going to take away a blocker. And he's going to line up a big attack here, too. Oh, I like this. Team. The Inquisitor is still back. He's contemplating what's going to happen here. He has to be worried about cards like Silver Strike. Tenacity is a card that he can be concerned about here. But that's going to do it. Brian Braun-Duin with that all-out alpha attack gets the job done as Fabrizio has none of it. And BBD is going to even things up. We're going to get a game 3 here on our main feature match in the quarters. Awesome. There's Huey Jensen sitting back there after his victory. Let's take a look at what Reed and Victor's are up to here. Well, it looks like Reed is significantly ahead on board here, facing down a 3-4, a 4-2, and a 2-1. He's also at 20 life. An altered ego. Not sure what it's copying. Though it does look like Reed is cursed here. The infectious curse you see over there by his library from Victor's. Oh, wow. We came at just the right time here, didn't we, Randy? All of a sudden, Reed Duke looks like he's trying to close things out. Now, Reed's down a game here, so he needs to win this and the next one to advance to the semis. Blocks are happening. Looks like a double block on the altered ego. Uh-oh. This could be ugly. He's already got one clue. Confront the unknown is going to give that alternate ego +2/+2 until end of turn. Which is pretty safe to assume we'll have it survive. Also, the Quilled Wolf is going to get pumped. Yikes, this is a lot of damage. What a huge swing.
Jeez.
Victor's falls down to 8, loses his entire board here. And all Reed loses in the exchange is a Furtive Homunculus. Yeah, this seems like that might have been the
Victor's
tide
also
turning.
had no cards in his hand.
Wow, okay. Yeah, our timing was quite good there. We got to see the furious finish there from Reed Duke.
Yeah, Reed forces a game 3.
Very nice. Game 3's all around. So we already know that Huey's through. We know that this is going to 3 and the other game's going to 3. What was the last update on Sean McLaren?
McLaren 1 up.
He's
the last update I have.
one game
I
up.
believe they're
Okay.
still in game 2. These guys all business. Saw Brian tweeting that this top 8 locks him into gold. It's, I believe, the first time in his career he's gotten to gold.
I think so, yeah. Congratulations to him. It's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, gold is the status where you're just invited to all the Pro Tours. And hitting gold this season means he'll go into next season, he'll start out gold. So he's qualified for the next 6 Pro Tours at this point.
It's a huge step for his Magic career for sure. Fabrizio, on the other hand, he's going for a little something higher than that here.
Right, already gold.
Yep.
But what is it? If he wins the GP, he
Yep.
hits platinum exactly?
Right, and that means that he's platinum walking into Madrid, and if you're a player who's platinum, you get an appearance fee,
Indeed.
and it's significantly higher than the gold one.
Yeah, so I mean, he's on track to hit platinum at some point this season and get those appearance fees next year, but
Yeah, I think he's locked for platinum, but
he wouldn't mind picking up some extra money next week in
yeah, I
Madrid.
mean, it's like $3,000.
Yeah, it's several $1,000s.
Yeah. Interesting play here from Fabrizio. Devil Thorn Fox is going to pick up a Bound by Moonsilver, which means that Fabrizio doesn't have a whole heck of a lot going on here.
True.
Yeah, he's going to start attacking with the Voldaran Duelist, making that Militant Inquisitor unable to block. This is the kind of situation, though, where Brian may be able to just curve out with big creatures.
Mm-hmm. Even medium creatures.
Even medium creatures. You know, if he hits a couple of Thornhide Wolves in a row here, he could just overpower Fabrizio, who's had a very slow start. And he's just going to play Incorrigible Youths and pass the turn back to Brian. Okay, well, it's not a Thornhide Wolves, but it's a Watcher in the Web. And then Brian's going to pass the turn back. So, once again, we've kind of hit the middle part of the game where the players are just playing creatures and neither has good attacks. Gibbering Fiend, ping you, drop you down to 16. But wait, there's more. Gyre Reach, Bandit. No attack. That's the second game in a row that Fabrizio's played that card and not attacked with it, even though it has haste. He just is not in a position to be able to rumble.
Wow.
Duskwatch Recruiter again, and he's just going to pass the turn back. With that activation available, though, and things can get out of hand very, very quickly here if Fabrizio doesn't have a nearly immediate answer for the Recruiter. As Brian Braun-Duin has done a good job of building out his board first so that he's not under immediate threat. And that lets him sit back here and start activating that Recruiter over and over again.
It's a lot of toughness on Brian's side of
No
this board.
kidding.
Is that Magmatic Chasm? Is that what Fabrizio's lining up?
Does have it in his list. Indeed. Well, this is going to be particularly scary for Brian Braun-Duin here.
Okay, rush of adrenaline.
Another rush of
adrenaline.
So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 damage. That's exactly lethal if it goes.
Good Lord. Again?
Are you serious? He makes sure that it's not creatures with flying or reach, but if Brian Braun-Duin has no way to interact with the board, that's game.
2 different combo finishes. Fabrizio Anteri has drafted... He's drafted Battle Rage Become Immense.
Maybe Titan Strength.
Yeah, fair enough. Got the job
and that
done.
does it for Fabrizio
Unbelievable.
Anteri into the semis.
Wow, Brian does not look happy.
That's a tough way to go out for Brian
Totally.
Braun-Duin.
Magmatic Chasm Rush takes 16 for Xaxes? That's insane.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Well, Fabrizio Anteri is through.
Yeah, look on Brian's face says it all. That was not a game he thought he was... Certainly not a game he thought he was going to lose that turn.
No.
And with the Duskwatch Recruiter, it's not a game I think he thought he was going to lose at all.
I think he had a Vessel of Ephemera that he could have played that turn instead, maybe.
To make flyers?
Yeah. I think that's what he showed him at the end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's hard to blame him, though.
Yeah.
Playing around
Can't blame him for
Chasm
that.
plus 2 combat tricks seems unlikely. Okay, well, let's jump over and see Game 3 of Victor's Kazanskis versus Reed Duke. Not a lot going on this game, just the 4-2 there for Victor's, and it's in fact going to be put to sleep. Also, make sure that you, if you're playing a competitive REL, make sure that you remember your trigger on your sleep paralysis. That is a trigger.
To tap the enchanted creature?
You have to tap it. Yeah, Incorrigible Youths cast the good old-fashioned way. With haste, is going to crunch in for 4. Dropping Reed Duke down to 16 before passing the turn back. And Reed's got a Drew Now Corpse Trawler here. No black mana to speak of. He could just go for the trade. It feels a little bad, but you could just go for the 1-for-1 here if he wants to double block. Especially if he doesn't have any black mana. He doesn't want to just keep taking hits from this vampire forever. Somewhat risky to double block, of course, as removal spell or a combat trick could get you, but it is still just a 1-for-1. Let's see what Reed does. He also does have that 1 mana available, maybe for a +1/+1 from Confront the Unknown, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Reed double block here. I also wouldn't be shocked to see him take it. Single block. And go for the Confront the Unknown, but he's going to get Fiery Tempered right out of here. And that is going to be pretty nice. It means that Reed takes no damage this turn. He effectively chump blocked, but he's not going to get his clue.
Right. Yeah, to Confront the Unknown fizzles.
It fizzles.
Does not resolve. No clue.
No investigation. And a Rancid Rats is a follow-up for Victor. So not a particularly potent follow-up, but a decent sequence for him there in any case. Land go for Duke. Corrigible Youth continues to rumble.
Sure.
No block for Reed Duke. He's just going to take it and drop down to 12. Pack Guardian, something that Victor's would consider there, but I think he'd be okay making a trade anyway. Passes a turn back. He's got a Dance with the Devils in his hand that he wants to fire off.
Wow. Confront the Unknown on your creature during your end step just to make a clue.
Yeah, he just wants to cycle it.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I mean, we talk about this card
it's
a
3
lot.
mana to
as
cycle
saying
it.
It's not that bad, and yeah, this is when you have to do that. Uh-oh, what is this? 6 mana? Ooh, a Kessig Dire Swine. So a big 6/6. Oh, wait, there's more, too. A Vessel of Nascency. So things working out pretty well for Reed here. He's got that Vessel to help dig him through for more action, and he's got the big 6/6 as well. Here's Dance with the Devils on end step, though, for victors. So he gets a couple of Devil tokens. He's still got that Rancid Rats and the Incorrigible Youths as well. And the big question mark here is, can that swine stay alive? Or stay on the battlefield? Pretty reasonable spot for Duke, assuming that the swine stays alive. If it doesn't, then he's going to fall behind quite quickly. Interesting from Victor. It looks like he's going to attack with his 3 creatures outside of the rats here.
That is a bit of an odd attack.
It is weird. I mean, he's got to have something. Reed is certainly incentivized to block, but he has any number of ways to go about blocking. Deciding on what the best course of action is for a block here. Pace of play has slowed considerably here as we're in the early part of a format. Reed Duke has to really rack his brain about what kind of combat tricks and things are possible before he lines up his blocks. If he blocks like this, his swine could take up to 5, 1 from the Devil, 4 from the Youths, and still stay alive. He's going to know the Victors has something, just doesn't know what yet. I think it's Spiteful Motives. No, he let it happen, so that's not what it was. So the Youth should die here. The 1 damage from the Devil went on the swine, and I'm assuming he's got something else. It's a dual shot to finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, that exchange for Reed Duke looks pretty good. From under the floorboards is the follow-up. He's just going to pay the normal price, so he's going to get 3 2/2 zombies tapped, and he's going to gain 3 life. Not bad. I mean, he cleared away, and he still got the Devil and the rats as well. So after the dust is settled, it looks okay for Victors, but you got to feel like Reed has an opening here to try to get back in this game after that block. He's going to crack his Vessel here. Three of the 4 cards were lands. He's just going to take the spell. And that is a Silberlin Snapper, I believe. Haven't actually seen one of those on the battlefield yet, but it's a 6/6 turtle for 5 and a blue, and it can't attack unless you've cast a non-creature spell this turn. So it's got prowess. I can attack.
Pretty much.
In other words, it's a pretty good blocker.
Yeah. Wall of fish. Not a fish, but it should be.
Might become turtle soup here in a minute if Victor's can have anything to say about it. Victor's is going to attack here. He's going to get in for 2, 4, 5, 6 damage as Reed eats up one of the zombies, but he needs to find something, and he needs to find it quick, or Victor's is going to advance past him on the bracket here.
It's uninvited Geist.
Looks like an
2/2.
uninvited Geist, yep. Meanwhile, Victor's is still just attacking with everything. This would be 2 damage hitting Reed. And Reed says, okay, I block. And he's actually just going to kill the devil here. This effectively saves him 2 more damage. And he only takes 1, dropping down to 4 and trading / eating the rest of the zombies. Okay, Ravenous Bloodseeker's fine here, but Reed is almost stable. He's out of cards, but he's got the big 6/6. Almost any spell does good work for him. A quick graveyard check. What could it be? Not a Season's Past, is it? He doesn't have one of those, does he? No. He's got an Obsessive Skinner. He's going to put the counter on the Snapper, and then on Victor's upkeep, he's going to put another one on there.
It's a large turtle.
Reed can put those on the Skinner itself, but he's decided just to make the turtle massive. And it looks like Reed stabilized. Oh, man, at 4 life here, can Reed come back and get Victor's from 23 to 0 and claim his spot in the semis? A land off the top for Victor says, you get another draw step, Reed Duke. Uh-oh, Reed's lining up a bunch of mana. Reed's going to pass, and he just keeps putting counters on the Snapper. Any reason, do you like diversifying it out a little bit here? Another Rancid Rats. I wonder if he's going to start just attacking with his rats here. He hasn't. You figured he'd like to trade with either of these creatures, right?
Sure.
I mean, the Skinners could be a problem going down the line. He'd happily trade it off for the Sibylline Snapper. Hermit of the Natternals now for Reed Duke. He's going to pass a turn, and now the Hermit's going to pick up a +1/+1 counter. What does Victor's have? Is it a Mad Prophet? What is it? All right, now he's going to start getting aggressive with these rats. Ooh. Yes, he is. He's going to attack with both of them. And Reed's going to immediately trade off for 1 and take the other, going down to 3. A very dangerous 3 life here. And it's a Gibbering Fiend. It's going to drop him to 2. I'm assuming that Victor's has... He does now, so he discards a land to get to Delirium. which is going to put Reed down to 1 life with the Gibbering Fiend as lethal. And how does he deal with this? Reed Duke, blue-green. He needs to find like a rabbit bite or something immediately. And if he can't, Victor's is going to be the one responsible for 2 damage and just the looming threat of the last point of damage here against Reed Duke. It was looking like Reed may have stabilized the board and been able to take control of the game. But so far, all Victor's has to do is pass the turn back to Reed. That Gibbering Fiend, once he hits the beginning of his upkeep, that's over, and that's going to do it.
Wow.
Reed Duke is out. Victor's Kazanski's advances to the semifinals, and he's got a big sigh of relief. Yes, Reed never makes it easy on you, but great job, Victor. You beat a really good player, and now you get to go play in the semis, try to get that trophy. So I think that does it here, right, for our quarterfinals. We don't have any other ones.
Yeah, we just finished up the match between Sadi and McLaren. The previous result was McLaren up a game, but Sadi has come all the way back. Wins it in 3.
Oh, wow.
So McLaren is out.
Take a look at our bracket here so you can see Mehdi Sadi. He's the one that just defeated Sean McLaren, moves on, and he's going to end up playing against Victor Kazankis. And William Huey Jensen, the last North American. We noticed that each of the brackets had somebody from North America, but yeah.
3-1 in Europe's favor.
That's right. And so that pits William Huey Jensen against Fabrizio Anteri. I'm sure we'll be watching that match next round. That is going to do it, though, for the quarterfinals here for Barcelona.
Whether riding the bus or waiting for the Grand Prix finals to begin, Magic Duels is a great way to hone your skills and try new strategies. Featuring hundreds of earnable cards from Magic's latest sets and virtually unlimited AI and online opponents, start playing Magic Duels free today on iPhone, iPad, Xbox One, and Steam.